When it comes to practicing a different language, maybe you're at a sort of A2 level, you can have a few words and phrases, and now it's time for you to practice with native speaker. Now, many people think that when they're speaking with native speaker, it's best to be corrected and told what they're doing wrong or what they're saying wrong in the moment. However, in this video, I'm going to show you the psychological reasons why that's not good and why instead of being corrected while you're speaking, like in the conversation, you should instead ask the native speaker or your native teacher to explain to you what you did wrong after the session. There's a few reasons behind this, but I'll go into it now. And I'll demonstrate it using this platform that I've built that basically helps you have conversation practice with an AI native speaker. As you can, as you, as you can see here, I'm in a session and that is a topic. So I'm using Italian as a demo. It also works for Spanish, Portuguese, French, and German. But here we go. So you can see Francesco is the AI tutor or person that I'm speaking to. And he said that. So you can see the words that he said there. I'll just turn the keywords off just so it's a bit clearer. But you can see that's Italian and that's the English translation essentially. So you can understand what it is. But my point is here, imagine I'm in a conversation with a real life tutor or native speaker. They say something, and I'm trying to work out every word what they mean, and now I'm going to form an answer of what I want to say. And as you can see, I'll just move myself out of the way. Down here, over here, you can see suggested responses. So one of the common things that people struggle with is knowing what to say back. So for this example, I'm going to show you how it works, and I can click here and hear how it's supposed to sound like the accent in case you're not sure how to pronounce it. You can listen.
Sì, ci ho pensato parecchio, ma non so, è difficile trovare l'idea giusta.
There we go. So I can now say that, for example. But as you can see, I've got it paused and I've got time to respond. So what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to say one of these and you can see how it works and you can see the words load on my screen. So I'm going to tap to reply here. Sì, ho pensato, ma non so, è difficile trovare l'idea giusta. Tap to send.
Sì, capisco. L'idea giusta è tutto, no? Ma dimmi, quando pensi a questo ti viene in mente qualcosa che manca nella produzione musicale, qualcosa che usi ogni giorno e che potrebbe essere migliore?
Just going to pause that again. Cool. So as you can see now, so what am I thinking? So as a native English speaker trying to learn a different language, I am fully focused on, first of all, understanding what's being said to me. So I'm trying to relate this to in a real conversation. So in a real conversation, you wouldn't have the transcript here. You'd hear the noises, you'd hear the sounds, and after every sound, you'd be trying to translate it into English or into your head. You'd be trying to understand what's being said. As an example, if I got to this bit, è difficile, and I said it a bit wrong, and they stopped me and they were, whoa, no, you say it like this instead. And I'd be like, oh, okay, super. And I'd be like, right, what was I thinking? What was I saying then? I wanted to say, I'm not sure, it's hard to find the right idea, or it's hard to trovare l'idea giusta, which basically means to find the right idea. So I'm trying to think that, and the point is that if you're corrected or interrupted mid-flow by a native speaker, then that stops you. So the best solution really is to be, as long as they understand what I'm saying, so the meaning here. So I've built this platform as an AI conversation platform, practice platform essentially, and I've got it so that it says the meaning even if your grammar, the user's grammar, when you say stuff, is incorrect or a bit off, because the point is to be understood, not to be perfect, especially if you're trying to build confidence in speaking. Because a lot of people aren't confident when speaking a different language, and that's because many factors throughout life, or they've had an experience where they couldn't be understood or something like that in the past. And this platform is built to help you get more confident at speaking and understanding what's being said to you. So the very idea is that even if I say something grammatically incorrect here, the meaning is what the platform understands it to be, based on context, based on the question, based on what's been asked previously, and what I'm likely to respond. And over here, you can see as well, obviously, every time the AI says something back, these suggested responses update. So I'll just move my head out of the way, one sec. So you can see down here, as I scroll down, these are a direct response to what's likely to be said by me to that. So in theory, if I'm really lazy as an English person trying to speak Italian, I could just say, oh, I could just read it line for line and have a conversation like that. So it's really like a structure or a framework to help you respond if you're stuck. All your effort, all your mental effort is there to understand, first of all, what's being said to me. What does this mean? On this platform, you can see the translation and the transcript, so it makes it easier. I can read it. But in real life, in a real conversation, you've not got subtitles in your vision. It would be nice to have that, but at the moment you haven't got that. So you're trying to think of what they mean. Okay, I think I know what they're saying now. And I'm thinking, okay, what can I respond? So if I'm now going to pick, say, something like that, I'm going to give it another go and reply back. And my point is now I'm going to be using all my mental effort to produce words I want to say and make sure it's roughly what I want to say in my if I wanted to speak in my native language. Even when you're practicing with real people, real native speakers, ask them at the start of the lesson, just say, look, I'm trying to just have a conversation going. I don't care about perfect grammar at the moment, obviously, unless you're really advanced level and you want to get absolutely perfect. But if you're at a sort of a lower intermediate level, maybe you're at an A2 level, you can put a few phrases and sentences together and you're just trying to get conversational, then ask them not to be corrected while you're speaking. Or if you make mistakes, ignore them as long as they understand what you're saying. Then after the session, after it's finished, say, oh, by the way, James, you use the past imperfect rather than the past XYZ sort of thing, or you said this word, a better word is this. And then once the lesson is finished, or outside of the conversation, I then have so much more mental space to digest and look at what I did wrong and think, oh, right, that word's better. Okay, cool. And in this platform, I've made it so that you can see the transcript of exactly what words you said and the AI said, and then the system highlights on the transcript a better way of saying it, basically. So that's how it works. An example is if you're in a restaurant or a bar or something and you're having a really nice conversation with a friend, you're catching up, and they've come to a little bit of like something really important. Maybe they've come to a big decision in their life, and then you're talking, and then the waiter or staff member comes over and says, "Oh, can I get you a drink?" And you're like, "Oh, one sec, yes, please, could I have this or that?" And they interrupt you, and then you then have to go back into it, and you might think, "What were we speaking about?" Then I forgot what we were speaking about, and that ruins the emotional connection you had in that moment. That moment has now gone, and it might take you a few seconds or a bit to get back into it as well. So the more you're interrupted, the worse your emotional state is. And really, for language learning, you want to be engaged, emotionally active. It's the opposite to how you were in school, basically. If you remember school, maybe I had language lessons or something. If you're disengaged or it's really boring, you don't learn anything. Whereas when it's super engaging and you're interested in it and it's interesting for you, aka you're talking about things that you care about, like this platform caters for, it asks you what you like and your interest at the start of it. So you talk about that, then it's a lot easier to stay engaged. And then to remain engaged, you need to focus your mind on understanding what's being said, thinking of a response, thinking of the words to say back, and then saying them back and not being interrupted. Even if I say something like, tomorrow, walk, dog, I go park, you probably know what I mean by that if you're English, but the words were super messed up. So that would be the issue. But in this platform, if you said that, it would still understand what you mean and it would respond as if you said it fine. The only thing is then afterwards, you'd see the transcript and the words were all over the place. It would then say, a better way of saying it is like this, and it would tell you how you should say it instead. But that's after the session when your mind's now free. And as you can see here, I'm just going to make my face a bit smaller because it's in the way. So yeah, up here, session complete. And then this is a transcript and correction. So this is an example of what it was. And you can see here, your tutor said that. There we go. Why I said that. So in this, there's not many mistakes that I made because I use basically the suggestions on the right hand side. But as you can see, your tutor, and when you make a mistake, it will basically highlight it here. Anyway, you get the idea. So the point is, if you're having a conversation or practicing in a different language, you should not be corrected mid-sentence or while you say something, because first of all, it knocks your confidence. Because you think, oh yeah, I'm on to a roll here. I feel really good about speaking this language. But then if someone corrects you, you think, oh crap, I thought I was doing right then, right. And then you take a step back and you feel embarrassed with yourself, and that's where a lot of the fear of speaking comes from. You're embarrassed to some extent, but if you understand where that embarrassment comes from, you can sort of fix it in the future. And secondly, your brain is focused on communicating in the moment rather than fixing your corrections and mistakes. So wait until after you finish speaking to do it, and that's what this platform does as well. So if you want more information, I'll leave a link to this platform in the comments below and in the description. And also, I've made a 5-day email course on how to stop freezing up when you're speaking and having conversations with natives based on my 13 years of experience learning languages. There's a link below, and that's a free course I've made, and it gives you really condensed, useful information that you can take away and start practicing your target language and not freeze up essentially. But anyway, that is it for today. See you later.